OverPower. Have you bought yourself an OverPower starter deck but are having trouble learning how to play? Well, hey there, I'm the Traveling Goof and I'm going to try and help you learn how to play the OverPower card game. OverPower is a trading card game that's unique from others on the market. It's a 1v1 game where you build a deck using 4 characters from a wide variety of universes to try to either knock out your opponent's team or complete your mission. It consists of a series of battles where you try to hit your opponents with as much damage as you can while keeping your own team alive. Some of the aspects that make it different than other games like Magic or Pokemon is that there's no resource generation. Your cards are able to play themselves. The order in which you play them will determine how effective your hand is. In addition, there are 2 ways to win. You can either knock out your opponent's team completely, or you can complete all 7 of your missions. These aspects make OverPower a very strategic card game, but the nuances and rules can also make it fairly hard to pick up without help. My goal is to try and simplify the game mechanics to get you playing. This video won't show you every last detail of the game. After all, the Learn to Play rulebook is 22 pages long. But don't be disheartened because, at its core, OverPower is a simple and fun brawling game with tons of possibilities for acting out the age-old questions of who would be able to beat who. First, let's talk about the different card types you're going to encounter, and then we're going to find out how to battle and actually play OverPower. Fundamentally, there are 6 different card types that we're going to talk about. There are character cards, mission cards, power cards, special cards, universe cards, and event cards. So let's start off with the character cards. These are going to represent the 4 characters who are part of your team. And you're going to start with 3 of them on your front line and 1 held back in reserve. In general, your reserve character will be unable to attack or be attacked, but will fill in a front line if you have a casualty. Characters have 4 icons which are going to display their power levels from 1 to 8. You can think of these as 4 different but equal suits you can play. You'll have energy, combat, brute force, and intelligence. The number on the bottom left of your character card can be ignored. That's for deck building purposes only. Next up, we have mission cards. These can be thought of as betting chips, and they can be won, lost, or won again. For our game, we're going to be playing a simplified skirmish mode where we're going to be playing the best out of 3 battles for our opponents. So we'll set these aside, and every time you win, you're going to take 1 to signify your win. Next up are power cards. These are your basic attacks and defenses, as you can see by these small icons here. The crossed swords means that it can be played offensively, and the shield means it can be played defensively. Power cards can be found in each of the 4 suits: energy, combat, brute force, and intelligence, and also can range from 1 to 8. The main thing to know about power cards is that they can only be used by characters whose stats are equal to or greater than the value in the associated suit. For example, Zoro can play this 8 combat because he has an 8 combat stat. However, John Carter of Mars only has a 6 and would be unable to use it for attack or defense. Next up, we have special cards. These are a character's special attacks and have the name of the character who can use them on the side. Each character in OverPower has 5 or 6 special cards which represent the unique abilities available to that character. No other character outside of the character whose name is listed on the specials could use them. This 3 Musketeers Porthos special can only be played by the 3 Musketeers. You'll note that this Porthos special has the crossed swords, denoting that it is an offensive action and would be able to be used as a 6 brute force attack. Specials often have additional powers which are listed below. In the case of Porthos, it not only acts as a level 6 brute force attack, but it cannot be blocked by a card with an intelligence icon, making it somewhat stronger than a regular brute force attack. And remember, that intelligence icon is the blue book listed here. In general, special cards are not able to be used as defenses unless they have the shield icon listed on them. Special cards can be all manner of abilities, from attacks to defensive actions, or utilities that can make your card stronger, and much, much more. There are also a number of what's called a universe card, which are different in action, but they all have the word universe printed on the bottom left. We're going to ignore all these for the purposes of our game today. The final card types are events, which modify the rules for a single battle, but we're also not going to be playing with those today. Cool, so those are the different card types, but how do we play? Let's crack open our starter pack and review some of the more complicated card types for this video. You'll keep the characters, specials, mission cards, but remove the events and all the different universe cards. Leave you a deck to begin with. For our training video today, we're going to be playing a skirmish battle between two players. Best of 3 hands, or battles as we call them, is going to win. Choose who's going to go first. Then draw 8 cards from the deck. In the future, there will be a phase where you discard duplicate cards, but we're going to skip this for now. In a regular game of OverPower, we'd have a betting round called the venture phase, where you can wager more or less depending on how good you think your hand is. Because we're playing a skirmish, we're going to skip that today too. Choose one of the cards in your hand. If it has the crossed swords and it is an offensive action, you're going to choose one of your characters who can play. Remember, in order to play a power card, your character has to have the grid level in the associated icon equal to or higher than the power card's value. For special cards, you're only looking at whether or not it's the correct character. I'll start by choosing this 3 Musketeers special card called Athos. It has a combat icon, so 3 Musketeers will use it to attack a character of my choosing. Let's attack Joan of Arc. Your opponent has a chance to defend using either a power card of equal or greater value, or a special card that has a shield icon that allows you to do so in the text. It may say, avoid 1 attack, in this case with a combat icon. My opponent chooses to block with this 7 intelligence attack. Both cards are discarded and it is now my opponent's turn. He chooses to use an 8 intelligence power card and has Sherlock Holmes attack John Carter with it. I don't have anything to block with. If I did, I can also choose not to block it if I want. So I will rotate my opponent's card to show that it hits John Carter. Now it's my turn again. I'm going to follow up with Billy the Kid's Gonna Make You Famous to attack Sherlock back. Billy the Kid is in reserve, but he has a special ability that is listed on his character card that lets him make numerical attacks from the reserve, like this Gonna Make You Famous. He chooses not to block and responds by attacking with Time Traveler's Futuristic Phaser, which acts as a level 6 energy attack. And I'll allow that to hit. Hold up. Now that you're getting a feel for this back and forth turn structure where one person plays a card and the opponent has a chance to defend, and then the turn passes and fights back, let's talk about what we're actually trying to accomplish. The first and most important thing is that at the end of every round, once you and your opponent have run out of playable cards, you're going to count up the value of the cards that have hit your opponent's characters that round. The player who landed the most damage will win the round. In our skirmish matches, they'll get 1 of the 3 mission cards to signify that they won the round. Now remember, this is going to be a best out of 3. In a regular game, you'd win that amount that you betted on the match, and your opponent would lose it, but tune into that in a future video. The secondary objective is to try and knock out your opponent's characters. Unless otherwise listed on the character card, each character can take 20 points of damage. Do enough damage to a single character, and that character is knocked out and cannot participate for the rest of the game. This is called a cumulative KO because the total value of the attacks added up to 20 or more. An alternative way to KO a character is to land attacks from 3 different types on them, choosing between energy, brute force, combat, and intelligence. If Joan of Arc was hit by this 1 energy card, 8 combat card, and 6 brute force card, that would be 3 different icons of the 4 possible and would become a spectrum KO. Now, you may have come across these other symbols. For example, Billy the Kid's I'll Make You Famous card has 2 icons listed on it. When attacking, you'll have to pick one of the options. Say he attacks Joan with a 5 combat. So say we chose a 5 combat to attack and the attack lands. It will be able to be used for one of the options for a spectrum KO, but not both. And that will change depending on what is needed in order to achieve a spectrum KO. For example, if another hit was landed with brute force, this would now automatically be counted as a combat. However, if a combat attack was landed, it would be able to transform and be used as a brute force even though it was declared as a combat during the attack itself. Once it lands, it doesn't matter what was declared. You might also come across a card that has a white circle, and that is an any power attack. Now, any power attacks count towards the cumulative KO, but don't contribute in any way to the spectrum KO. You might also come across a any power card. These work similarly in that they don't count towards the spectrum KO, but one caveat is that you have to assign a type to it while you're attacking or defending. In this case, Joan of Arc would be able to use it as a combat or an intelligence attack or defense. Now that you have an idea of what you're playing for, either landing the most damage or trying to KO one of your opponent's characters, let's get back to it. The round continues in a series of attacking and defending until there are no more playable cards. For my next move, my Three Musketeers Aramis special lets me throw a second attack even though my opponent defended the initial Aramis card itself. So let's fast forward to see how the battle plays out. The only special play was here, where John Carter used his Superhuman Endurance special card to defend against my opponent's 1 brute force power card. This special card has both crossed swords and a shield icon, meaning that I could use it on my turn to play offensively, which would land it on John Carter and prevent further combat and brute force attacks from choosing him as a target. Or I could play it defensively and make my opponent's ongoing attack invalid. By regulation, an opponent cannot choose a new target for an attack that has become invalid, and it is considered defended. Once the round is over, signified by neither of us having any more legal attacks, we will count the amount of damage we landed on our opponents. I have 23 and my opponent has 18. This is called the venture total and means that I win the round. Once counted, the damage is tucked under the character to signify that it has already been counted. This tucked damage is now referred to as being on the character's permanent record. It will still count towards cumulative and spectrum KOs, but won't be counted for venture again. I take 1 mission card to signify my win. Yes! You could set aside either 3, 5, or 7 mission cards for these skirmish rounds and either place them in the middle or just move them from your stack to signify the win. Now let's play another battle. Back to the beginning. Draw 8 new cards and start battling. Note that we're discarding duplicates in this video, but again, don't worry about that just yet. The person who won the previous venture total will start the next battle first, so I get to keep the initiative. I start out by having Zorro attack with an 8 combat power card. Because landing this hit would give Joan 20 total damage and would cause a cumulative KO if it lands, it is considered good sportsmanship to announce "for the KO" to alert your opponent, just as you would say check in chess. My opponent cannot defend and Joan is KO'd. He will keep in hand any Joan special cards or power cards only usable by her, but will be unable to play them. The battle continues until I land an attack with Zorro's Ancestral Rapier, which lets me look at the top 5 cards of my opponent's draw pile, discard one of them, then reshuffle his deck. He responds by sending a 7 intelligence attack to John Carter to cumulatively KO him. However, the final venture count is in my favor, 12-7, and I win the second battle and the game. And it's as simple as that to get yourself playing. Now, there are more aspects to the game than this simplified skirmish mode, but the basic back and forth, trying to get the higher venture total, KOing your opponent's characters, throwing attacks, defending, that's the majority of the game. Play a game or two this way, and then see if the rest of the rulebook makes more sense to you. If not, tune back in the future, and I'll explain more about universe cards, venturing, conceding, and some of the other nuances of the game. And until that time, thanks for watching, and venture well.